Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our channel. I'm Nicole from Moon Prep. Moon Prep provides one-on-one counseling services exclusively for students pursuing the BSMD and medical school admissions. Make sure to like and subscribe to be the first to hear more from our team. Hi, good morning, everyone. I am Nicole from Moon Prep. I have SUNY Polytech's team here, and we are going to do a little Q&A about their BSMD program. So I will turn it over to them to let them introduce themselves.
Dr. Joe, go for it.
Okay. Hi, I'm Dr. Joanne Joseph. I'm currently the interim dean for the College of Health Sciences, but I'm also a professor in the community and behavioral health and psychology programs.
I'm Dr. Carlie Phipps. I'm the chair of the biology department and also involved in the BSMD admissions program.
I'm Jeff Albright. I'm one of the undergraduate admissions advisors, and I'm also the admissions coordinator for the Upstate Accelerated Scholars BSMD program.
Awesome. So one of my first questions would be, what advice do you have for students who are applying to that BSMD program for the upcoming cycle? And how, if any way, has COVID-19 altered that process?
Yeah, so I think the simplest way to put it when it comes to advice is just like make us do our jobs. It's our job to help you throughout this process. We're interested in helping you build your application and making it as strong as possible. And then just kind of letting the chips fall where they may, because let's face it, the students who are applying to these BSMD programs are all amazing students. It's just a matter of, reaching out, getting us on a Zoom meeting, coming to visit campus, because this is as much a recruiting process for us as it is for you. You're, as a student, you're recruiting the colleges that you're applying to because it's the next 4, 8, 10, 7 years, however many years of your life. So you need to make sure that you're applying to institutions that you're going to feel comfortable attending. So again, to repeat, just make us do our jobs, reach out when you have questions. The only dumb questions are the ones you have, but you choose not to ask.
Right. The one other point that I would add to Jeff's fabulous answer is to use any experience connected to the COVID in a way that showcases your resilience, your ability to cope, because there's lots of obstacles and there's lots of challenges for medical school and for getting through to medical school. And COVID actually allowed us to develop some of those skills. So showcasing them is also a good idea.
Awesome. Thank you. So what type of students are you specifically looking for? Are there any characteristics that you find most appealing in a BSMD candidate?
Yeah, well, we're looking for students who obviously have a passion for medicine, but that's not the only thing. We're looking for students who have other interests that they have pursued really long term. So we'd like to see that they're interested in the intellectual side of medicine, but we also want to see that they want connections with people, that they care about people, that they care about their communities. So we're not really looking for the highest GPA and the total highest amount of participation and everything totally possible. We're looking for students who care about people, care about healthcare, and who have pursued that. And we'd like to see that they've pursued it to the best of their abilities within their circumstances. Because obviously, everyone had some shutdown situations and each student has their own particular set of circumstances. We just want to see that you pursued these things as much as possible within your abilities.
Yeah. And just to add on to what Carlie just said, what we're looking for specifically are students who have what we would call in psychology an other-oriented perspective. They're engaging in these volunteer activities, not just because they have to do it for National Honor Society, as an example, but because they really have a passion for helping people. And we can give you some examples of some of outstanding students who fit that kind of criteria, just as a help in understanding what we're looking for. We've had students, for example, who used their musical talent to help autistic kids, and then allowed those autistic kids, empowered them to help others. That's unique, but that's what we're talking about. And this student did it not for National Honor Society, just because they felt committed to the autistic and aging population. That's what we're talking about here too.
Awesome. No, that's really insightful. Thank you for that example specifically. So when it comes to the process of selecting these students, what does that look like for each one of you?
Oh, it's a fun one. This process is a very, very like extensive process from just about any perspective you look at it. From an actual timeline standpoint, our applications for this program open up on August 1st.
Mhm.
Students aren't actually notified if they're admitted to the specific UAS program until normally like mid-April. So it's a 8-month time frame of like hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up to submit this document by this deadline. Okay, now wait 2 months to hear from whatever you need to hear from. So like I mentioned, applications open up in August. On August 1, applications are due by November 1st. We require all of our students to submit their required documents by the 15th of November. And then from that point until the middle of December, the committee will actually meet, we'll review all the applicants, we'll put our 2 cents in, because the December 15th is when SUNY Upstate Medical University requires us to submit a list of candidates to recommend to them. That's a list of 25 students. We then will send it, and then from about December 15th to about mid-January, Upstate will have their committee reviewing these 25 students and narrowing that list down to 10. They'll then reach out to those 10 students and say, hey, we'd love to have you come and interview with us for a spot in this program. From mid-January to about mid-March is when those interviews take place. This year they are virtual. They're in the MMI format. So, conversational, not adversarial interviews. But again, fully virtual. I think next year they want to go back to in-person, but that's TBD. But so mid-January, mid-March, the interviews are happening. And then again, mid-April, give or take, is when those 5 students are getting that phone call saying, hey, we'd love to offer you an acceptance to this program. Please confirm or decline. And from the day of that email, phone call, communication type deal, they have 2 weeks to either confirm or deny. So it's, again, a very extensive process. With that being said, students will be notified of their admission to SUNY Poly and their program of choice normally mid-December.
Awesome. That was extremely detailed. Thank you.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate it. So taking a step back, some of the highlights of the program that you think are most important for students and makes you one of the best programs.
Who wants to go first? Because I think we all got a different perspective on this.
I can start off. This the part that's closest to me is that the way we do academic advisement is very close on our campus. Because we do have small class sizes, we do have advisors set up for each student, and they advise at least usually a couple of times per semester, apart from seeing them other times. So students build relationships beyond just advising courses, and they also help them with career goals, opportunities. Specifically, some of our faculty, a lot of our faculty have been in the healthcare world, and they talk with our students about things like, what kind of specialty do you want to go into, not just intellectually, but this is the kind of lifestyle you would lead in being that type of doctor. Is that what you want? Talking about what their own work-life balance would be in the future. And also, because our classes are small, all of our classes are taught by faculty. We don't have TAs who teach classes. So faculty get to know these students throughout their entire time here as they're getting their bachelor's degree. It becomes very close mentorship and a close advisorship. And we do think that we do a very good job with that.
And to add on to Carlie, one of the distinguishing features I think about our particular set of programs is that we do stress the biopsychosocial model of health. And that's the, latest, greatest, hottest model out there. And they can get features of that because we aren't totally siloed here. That means, the psychology department talks to the biology department. We actually like each other. It's really helpful. And we go back and forth. And students have the opportunity to say major in biology and minor in psych or in CBH. The other distinguishing feature is that we do get students involved in service-based learning projects, which means that they get to experience as part of their coursework real life problems in a community. And that is oftentimes very helpful in helping them decide which area they want to go into, and what the area is like, what the profession is really like. So not only are they getting the individual attention, but on an academic level, they're getting the kind of model training that they're going to need to be a good practitioner in today's world.
And then on top of just some of the SUNY Poly highlights that Dr. Joe and Dr. Phipps mentioned, we also have a pretty strong accessibility to just the medical community given our campus location. Obviously, through the UAS program, there's a lot of partnership components through Upstate. Our UAS students, they're actually afforded opportunities to attend courses there, or a course in the summer, partially in person, partially virtual. There's in-semester programming opportunities for students to just kind of like get exposed to the med school environment, so that when that first actual year med school hits, they're not in over their heads. They're familiar with the culture there. They're familiar with what's expected, all that. But then not just through Upstate, but through the greater Utica area, there's the Mohawk Valley Healthcare System, or MVHS. There's, I mean, Carlie, Dr. Joe, what would you two say? There's probably a dozen different little, if not more, medical communities, medical entities within a 10-mile radius of our campus. We have partnerships with a handful of those communities to afford our students opportunities for research, shadowing. I know we have a handful of our students actually, working or volunteering sometimes in some of the local hospitals as medical scribes for the ER. So there's a lot of stuff within the immediate vicinity of our campus that's just going to give these students a little bit of an additional perspective on the medical field, whether that is through the immediate, patient relations, whether it's through more of a research, whether it's through a little more of the business side. Students are able to get into what they want to get into, especially given the close relationship of our students with their academic advisors.
Yeah, and our faculty, and I can speak to this because I'm currently in an administrative position, are phenomenal, because they also have relationships with folks in the medical community. So they network very, very well. And just like Jeff said, for example, I know a primary care doc who routinely calls me for students to be medical scribes, as an example. We have a research project currently going on in the Hobart Street Clinic with refugees that our students are involved in, that involves both physical health and mental health. So they have unique opportunities. And again, because of what Dr. Phipps said early, or because of that close relationship, and because we tend to communicate with each other and support each other's majors, these opportunities aren't just available to a certain set of biology students or a certain set of psychology students. They're available across the board to individuals who are interested in the health field in general, which allows students to pursue different majors to get to medical school. I think that's another, would you agree, Carlie, that that's another major feature here.
Yeah,
But-
oh yeah, and I wanted to throw in too, just Jeff had mentioned, I think what is really special about Upstate is what they are doing with this program, with the summer and during the year things that they do with the students throughout their 4 years as undergraduates, is really trying to get them a higher level of preparation and resilience, not necessarily just for the intellectual part, but
Mhm.
for their own personal health, how to keep their own selves supported, how to not burn out in medical school. It is really a supportive environment for those students. They want those students coming in with lots of healthy practices and routines, and to really be able to succeed through medical school.
Oh, great. So that's something that they do in their the summer course that you mentioned?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. So flipping a little bit back to the admissions side, are you able to share some of the average statistics, SAT, ACT, GPA of students that are accepted to the BSMD?
Yeah, so this is only this current class of high school seniors. This will actually only be our fourth application class. So we have a very small data set, so I don't want to infer too much from what's been done so far. And I do want to preface my answers by saying that the minimum requirements for our UAS program is a 90 GPA, or on a 4.0 scale, about a 3.5. And then we do require an SAT or ACT. If you're taking an SAT, we have a super score of 1200 requirement. If you're taking the ACT, we have a requirement of 25 or higher. Now, those are the minimum requirements. Whether that student has that 90 GPA on the dot or 112, they're still going to be reviewed on the same playing field. So that, the student has a 1600 versus 1200, still the same playing field. So that's why I want to preface my answers by that. The average GPA for our accepted UAS students typically is going to be between like a 95, 97-ish. If they take the SAT, it's normally between about a 14 to 1500. If they take the ACT, it's about a 30 to a 33. But again, I can't stress this enough. And we all, I think, mentioned earlier, like, the student who has that 100 GPA and 1600 SAT may not necessarily be the best candidate for this program. Like, yeah, they're going to be an amazing academic student, more likely, but we want students to have a little bit more of the whole package, the whole picture.
Yeah.
So any students who are out there, with that 90 GPA and just scraping that 1200 SAT, don't hesitate to apply. Again, reach out to us and ask us what you can do to help build your application.
Oh, great. So you do recommend students reach out as much as possible for questions?
Very much. Like I
Sure.
said before, make us do our jobs.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just that simple. Don't overthink the process. These students, these students have been through enough over the past 4 years. We're not trying to add stress or hurdles or barriers to entry. These are medical school students. They're going to deal with enough stress over the rest of their lives. We don't want to be the ones that start that.
Yeah. No, that's great to hear. Clarifying question. 5 seats are available on the program? I know you mentioned that
Correct.
before. You submit,
Yes.
and then it's 5 that become ultimately accepted.
Yep. So we have X amount of applicants. The SUNY Poly committee has to narrow that down to 25. It's sent to Upstate. Upstate narrows that list down to 10. They interview 10. They select 5.
Awesome. Awesome. Do you know how many applicants have applied last cycle and typically apply each cycle? I know you've only had 4, but
So yeah, the first applicant pool we had was for the fall 2020 year, and we all know how 2020 went. So that number's a little screwy. I think we had right around 150 or so applications. This year we actually received almost 400 to our UAS
Okay.
program. So the program's been
Wow.
growing pretty exponentially. So, I'm not looking forward to in 4 or 5 years having to review 1,000 of these applications, but I guess it's not a problem. It's a situation. It's a good one to have.
Yeah.
And then as an institution, we are a fairly small institution. For those of you who may not be familiar with the SUNY system, State University of New York, it's the New York State run public school system. We are one of the smallest 4-year campuses with about 2,200 undergraduate students. So our applicant pool is a little bit smaller than the average SUNY school as a whole. We typically will see anywhere between like 28 to 3,200 applications per year. Actually, to date, we're at 3,200. So this is shaping up to be our largest applicant class ever, which we're very excited about.
Awesome. What is your undergraduate acceptance rate for non-BSMD?
So for the non-BSMD, it's going to depend on year by year, the parameters of our students. You know, it's kind of a moving target, but generally speaking, we're sitting anywhere between about 67% to about 74.5%. But the way I see it, when looking at the individual, statistics are absolutely meaningless. And what I mean by that is if a student applies this year, we're not going to say only 2/3 of them can come here. The other third's got to go, go away. So again, I hate to keep repeating myself, but like that's where the student needs to just reach out to us, make us do our jobs. And, we're not mind readers. We're going to help you as best we can, but you got to let us know what you want.
Awesome. Are you able
One
to?
quick other thing.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
all of
That's
our
okay.
majors are direct admit.
Okay.
So like, for example, our largest first year major is nursing. We don't do pre-health. We don't do pre-nursing. You just start in nursing.
Got it. Okay. Do you have details on the MCAT policy at all? Do students have to take it as their minimum?
So as a part of one of the main perks of the Upstate Accelerated Scholars program is that our students who are admitted do not have to take an MCAT to be admissible to Upstate's MD program. So not a bad gig.
Yeah, we do have our curriculum has been we cross-check our curriculum against the MCAT to make sure that they're still covering all the topics that they would cover anyway. Again, to help all of our other students who aren't in the UAS program, be ready for the MCAT so that they are MCAT capable. But the UAS admits, again, that's one of their perks is that they then don't have to do it for admission.
Awesome. I know Dr. Joseph shared a little bit earlier. Is there any other impressive extracurriculars or achievements that you recommend or have in the past that you want to highlight to, help our students go to the next level?
I have one that I could add
Okay.
to the collection here. And, and again, I think it speaks to the uniqueness of SUNY Poly and the fact that we do multidisciplinary exercises and we collaborate multidisciplinarily. We do have a minor in humanitarian engineering, which focuses on the disabled population. So students, say in biology or in psychology, collaborate with engineering students to actually create products that will assist individuals with disabilities. And that's kind of unique. And as an example, let me give you my examples because, well, we're pretty proud of what our students have produced. We have had students produce a set of Braille blocks for children who are visually impaired or blind. And these Braille blocks, Lego, by the way, has come out with some of these Braille blocks, but we were doing that before they were. Let me just tell you that. But our students have they've used the Braille box and they've created other games. They've created a game patterned after Scrabble called Brabble for students, for kids who have these sorts of disabilities. There's just one example. That particular project, that process that we use to develop those blocks is currently under patent review.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that's we have other projects that include artificial arms and hands for kids who were born without arms or hands or had deformities. We've had projects that involve vets who've lost digits or and developing golf clubs so that they could golf again. Those are the kinds of things. And again, we see this as very unique because it's the multidisciplinary team working together. But these are the kinds of things that look good on a application for medical school for our general population of individuals who might be interested, or graduate school, quite frankly. But that's a unique feature of SUNY Poly.
Yeah, and I think with the students, I mean, you're advising students on trying to get into these, and it's sort of easy to tell when a student suddenly starts scrambling and, oh no, I didn't join enough clubs. Now I have to join 5. And I am going to try and be treasurer of one, and I'm going to try and be the president of the next one. That's not what we're looking for. Something we want to see that you, again, that you're following a passion that is yours, and it's okay, whatever it is, that intertwines with these desires in healthcare. Like, you play a student who plays the oboe, and somehow someone got them into going to their local nursing home once a month to do a little mini concert, and now they're interested in geriatrics, because of these interactions, those types of things. Or someone who's a gamer and started working at an after-school program, and hey, maybe pediatrics would be kind of interesting. Yeah. Or even that experience has taught me that I don't want pediatrics, but I would love to, work with adults. Something that's just that's following the things that they're interested in, not that they're just trying to check boxes of I have experience.
Yeah, from an applicant perspective, there really is no skeleton key. There's no right answer as far as if I do these activities, I will be admitted to a program. Everyone looks for different stuff. In the past handful of years, some of the things that have always kind of stuck out to us, we've had students who either have completed or are in the process of completing their EMT licensure, students working as volunteer firefighters, publishing research as part of like a larger group or assisting in research through medical universities, attending conferences to present their research. That's just a handful of things. But again, don't let that, for the students who are looking at these programs, don't close yourself off from opportunities just because you don't think you have that one or two things that maybe we say we're looking for or another school says they're looking for. Like, you have a lot of the power to build your application. And I'm sorry to keep repeating myself, but that's when you reach out to us and you can tell us, like, hey, this is what my resume looks like. I'm a little worried it's not up to scuff, so like, is there anything you immediately see that I should look into? We're going to tell you what you can look into. We're not going to say, sorry, find someone else. We're here to help, whether that's with us or another institution. Like, obviously we want you to come to us, but like, we want you to make sure that you're successful, really.
Of course. That was really, really helpful. And then I would just ask if there's anything else that you would like to share at all about the university or the BSMD program at all.
I think with students who are applying to these, obviously they're usually applying to several BSMD programs, right? These are students who are not just applying to one, they're applying to a lot. And what I think everyone who is in these programs from the university and wants to see is a student who feels like this is where they're going to be successful when they make that decision. So if they get 2 or 3 or 4 offers, that what we found is the students who are successful academically are the students who are comfortable where they are, who are happy where they are, who are in the right place. That's the size of the school. It has something to do with the location. It has to do with the community that you're in. We think that our size and culture gives you a personalized experience, that you get support from your community, from your faculty, from your peers. There are some students who would rather be in a large school where they're kind of just, get to hide in the crowd. There are students who love that idea of a close connection. And so for those students, figure out where it is that you are going to be the happiest, because that's where you're going to be successful. Pick the program that you think fits you the best. It's not just them picking you, it's you picking them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to support what Carlie's saying, just with some numbers, I mean, we really do try and emphasize that individualized educational environment, whether it's through that personalized academic advisement or career advisement, to actually being in the classroom. I mean, I'm a SUNY Poly graduate. I did my undergrad and my grad here. The largest class I ever had across 6 years of grad and undergrad was my English 101. I sat with like 35 other students. We only have one lecture hall on campus. The rest are all classrooms. And the largest classroom that we have seats like 65 if you squeeze people in there. Over the past 5 years or so, about 60% of our classes have had fewer than 20 students in them. Only about 5% have had more than 40, and only 1% have had more than 50. So you're not going to be able to be like that wallflower here. And for some students, that is a bit of a drawback, but for a lot of students, they enjoy that because if you're actively participating in your classes, you're going to get a lot out of them. And then additionally, we cap all the labs within biology or most of our science classes at 20 students. So you're building those relationships with professors because again, we don't have any TAs or GAs teaching courses. So the thing that I really enjoyed about my time as a SUNY Poly student and what, from speaking to current students and my friends who have graduated, what a lot of students enjoy about this place is the fact that if they have a question or they have an issue, they know not only just like, okay, I got to go to this office to answer it or to get it answered, but they know the name of the person and the face of the person they need to talk to. And most of the time that person knows who the student is. So students here have a lot of agency when it comes to their own academic pathway, their own academic journey. So being a part of that larger, like that small community, but being a part of a larger community at the same time, if that makes any sense whatsoever, it's something our students really enjoy, and we just have a good group of students here. They make our jobs really easy. I mean, I primarily deal with the students once they're coming in. I mean, Dr. Joe, Dr. Phipps, you deal with them every day as faculty, so you probably have a little more insight on that. But yeah, we got a really good group of students.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. I wanted to give the last word to Dr. Joseph because I think you do a great job of encapsulating everything.
Well, I think you folks did a great job. Actually, I'm having a hard time improving on it or even adding to it. But that I think speaks to the kind of faculty that we have here. Again, they're not just interested in hiding in their research. They're interested in sharing that research with students. This is a community of learning. This is a learning community, and it's based on best practices, quite frankly. If you look at evidence-based practice in the educational field, SUNY Poly does a very good job. The smaller classrooms, the more personalized experiences, those are all evidence-based practices that promote student success. And I think we have a lot to be proud of there. And we're, when a student comes to us, I mean, and I can speak for myself because some of the students call me Mother Joe, quite honestly. They really do feel supported. And when they succeed, it puts us in such a good mood. As I said, when I see a student succeed, when they graduate, I'm happy for at least a month or so. It's like your own kid succeeding. So that's sort of how that's the feeling you would get coming to this campus. And it's not for everybody, but for those that want that kind of environment, that it's here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all of that great information.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.